Harvey, 1 vote. Just wanted to see if everyone's awake for that one. I know it's late in the day, and thanks for everybody for turning up. I actually thought I'd be talking to a couple of barflies over at the Merrywell at this late in the day, but it's great to have everyone here. As the slide suggests, I'm Dylan Skins, and I manage the sales and marketing for a Perth-based fishing company, Austral Fisheries. And today I'd like to share with you our journey in developing an innovative branded seafood products while also helping to achieve social licence to operate with the help of influential chefs and consumers. Okay. I'll begin this presentation by reading one of the more fancier menus that I've come across recently, which will provide the foundation for this presentation. Redgate Farm partridge with roasted peach, pancetta and hazelnuts, $36. Silk handkerchief pasta with hand-pounded pesto, cherry tomato and ricotta, $32. Nanjing style crispy roast pork belly with coriander, peanuts, red onion and sesame seeds, $38. Cape Grim, dry aged, 36-month-old, grass-fed, ribeye on the bone, 300 grams, 63 days, $60. True A5 Kobe beef from Hyogo Prefecture, Honshu, Japan, with bone marrow, fingerling potatoes, smoked bacon and pearl onions, $85. Now for the star of the menu. Fish of the day, market price. Complete yawn, right? Now that's not very inviting for my taste buds or my wallet. There's definitely room for improvement on the menu here, but that's a sad fact across most of the top end of town restaurants. Most of our fantastic seafood stories are hidden under fish of the day or catch of the day, and 70% of them would be imported for the day. All the mouth-watering dishes I've touched on, except for that stinky wet fish with the hidden price tag, all have the key marketing ingredients for success in today's crowded marketplace. Number one is brand, followed by provenance, quality and a genuine food experience. The hidden seasoning to all these fantastic dishes is sustainability. And in the fish game, sustainability has almost reached saturation in the marketplace, and we are now looking for the next buzzword. Sustainability, though, still remains a very important ingredient, almost to the point where it needs to be defined on menus. This is especially the case for the fish I handle on a daily basis, and I'll touch on that a little bit later. A lot has been learned from other protein marketing, and Donald touched on that in the presentation before. The MLA and the Australian Pork Limited have done fantastic jobs in the past. Their success, though, has been underpinned by a national peak body with sizable marketing funds to match. Unfortunately, the Australian seafood industry lacks a national peak body to satisfactorily represent its interests in seafood marketing. We are left to fight our own battles in a very crowded marketplace. The seafood industry has been slow to react, but a quick word of warning to all the other protein producers in the crowd. I believe our industry has much sexier stories to tell than the free-range chickens, the happy pigs, the grain-fed cows or Mr. Kekovich's lamb chops. As an industry, we are slowly removing fish of the day, along with these hidden prices from menus, and replacing them with high-quality Australian sustainable seafood stories. We were no means in the first game. We were by no means the first in this seafood branding game. There are some great examples in our industry that have come before us, such as Combe Bay barramundi, Kinkawuka mussels, Huon salmon and Fremantle octopus. All of these examples include the key ingredients for success, such as brand, provenance, quality and that food experience. The future is very bright though for our industry. We've got many untold stories on the verge of hitting local and international markets. We all have fantastic products, and what other protein is being endorsed by health professionals around the world to form part of your recommended dietary intake? Timing also seems to be perfect given the raft load of consumers now seeking out protein with a story after watching the reality TV shows such as MKR and MasterChef. So now on to the star of the presentation. I'm here today to talk to you about my personal journey on how we turned this guy, the Patagonian toothfish, also known as the Chilean sea bass, from the kiss of death to becoming a seafood marketer's dream fish. In the late 90s, the Australian toothfish fishery was under full attack from international fish terrorists, which almost decimated the Australian stock to depletion. This illegal, unreported pirate fishing caused all sorts of threats for our operating future, particularly in the area of marketing. The Australian toothfish fishery was highly regulated and sustainable, but the actions from a few environmental vandals had devastating effects on global trade. Despite following the rules as a responsible Australian fishing company, we were continually tarred with the wrong brush and denied access to many international markets. The perfect trade storm was upon us, not only at the stock level, where we've been decimated, but also from a trade point of view. Toothfish was red listed in every single publication and website and nicknamed a fish called plunder. The big NGOs such as Greenpeace were condemning the capture of toothfish, and restaurants all over the globe were taking toothfish off the menu. Major supermarkets, such as Loblaws in Canada, ran anti-toothfish campaigns, like take a pass on sea bass, and left empty cabinet space at deli counters with tickets showing they don't sell sea bass and suggested alternatives. Even the biggest shipping line in the world, Maersk Line, banned all toothfish that was manifested. This was a major obstacle given our export was our primary market out of Australia. So you can imagine now toothfish was absolute rock bottom and a very tough sell. I don't think it was too many people wanted to take on toothfish at that time. The toothfish fishery was basically out of sight, out of mind from a political point of view, and we were led to take action into our own hands. The formalisation of COLTO, Coalition of Legal Toothfish Operators, back in 2003, felt like our last roll of the dice to have a future in the Deep South. And today, COLTO happily represents 90% of our industry. Austral played a lead role in the implementation of COLTO and the successful campaigns that followed, providing critical information to relevant authorities, ultimately putting our issues on the map and many illegal operators out of business. My colleagues, though, and many of them in the room today, have done a great job since though to get the fishery into its current state. Considerable investment has been made into the science, tightening the borders, eliminating illegal fishing, and successfully obtaining third-party certification in 2011. And we also got a best choice rating from the Monterey Bay Aquarium. Third-party certification in 2011 was our first step in the long road to rehabilitation. Unfortunately, no one believes that fishes are sustainable, nor do they believe fisheries scientists, fisheries management, or the government, but they will believe in a third-party eco-label such as the MSC. Momentum started to shift for toothfish, and timing for obtaining MSC certification was impeccable. Leading supermarket and restaurant chains around the world declared they would only sell MSC certified seafood as they trusted this third-party label. Exports started to flow again for Austral. We gained access to markets previously not open to us, particularly across Northern America. The premium achieved for supplying certified toothfish was US $2 a kilo higher than non-certified. This was a significant payoff for the tonnages we deal in, and we started to see the value of eco-labelling. Third-party certification wasn't the silver bullet though. Toothfish generally still had a bad reputation, especially amongst chefs and the general public. Toothfish was toothfish, and the vast majority of chefs, especially in Australia, would not menu it given the bad publicity. At the same time, a massive network of marine parks were announced across Australia. The super troll of debate made national headlines. 5 million recreational anglers were outraged, and the commercial fishing industry was lacking complete social licence to operate. We are a proud Australian company with a great reputation internationally, and we needed to tell our story and win back fans for Australian seafood. I was impressed with that branding work done before our time, and I started to think, how can we do a bit more to leverage our great story? So it was time for a new game plan, and that included to develop a brand to differentiate our toothfish from the rest. Branding is key in this product. We had to educate the end users and the general public that were brainwashed with wrong information used for parliamentary votes. Another key step was updating all the NGO websites, including Wikipedia, which had information that was still 15 years old. Chefs were looking at this stuff. And finally, empower chefs and retailers to tell our story. Unfortunately, we're not big enough for effective reach by ourselves. You need the the help from other influential players. In the seafood trade, fishers usually market their catch to wholesalers who rarely care for the background story. They're only interested in price and getting the best margin possible. Trying to sell these guys a new branded product with a genuine provenance story would fall on deaf ears, as they are only order takers and not seafood marketers. In 2012, with the help of Fishtails, we bypassed some of the wholesalers for some valuable research and visited 40 high-profile chefs around the country to start work on brand development. 50% of chefs loved eating toothfish, but were under the impression it was still endangered or illegally caught. And the other 50% had never even heard of it. And some of these were some really high-profile chefs. Most of them didn't even know there was an Australian fishery, nor did they know we had the highest rating of sustainability possible for any fin fish in Australia. Immediately they started asking questions. Where can we buy this sustainable toothfish from? Is it Australian? How deep are the fish caught? Where is the fishery? How big are the boats? Is it cold down there? How long are you at sea for? We opened up a conduit between fishers and chefs that revealed so many missing parts to our sales and marketing mind. Chefs were hungry. They were hungry for information, and they were always on the hunt for new, high-quality Australian products with a great story that they could put on the menu. Chefs loved the background story too. Fighting off the pirates, going to sea for 3 months, catching fish in 2,000 metres of water, battling 10-metre seas, 70-knot winds, snow, sleet and icebergs. It was the most extreme ocean-to-plate story you could put on a menu. Often the chefs would ask if I'd been down there, and I would say yes. The first 6 months of my time at Austral Fisheries was in the sub-Antarctic on a toothfish boat, and that was instant street cred, and an all-access pass was granted to the kitchen. With the help of our new professional friends, we asked if we could offer you a toothfish, what would the product look like? Which brand do you prefer? Which brand sounds better on a menu? What format do you want it delivered? Do you prefer whole fish? Do you prefer cutlets, fillets, steaks, vacuum packed or shatter packed, skin on, skin off? Are you okay with frozen? We also cooked samples and gathered valuable insights into the fat and flavour profile of each size grade. The unanimous brand result was Glacier 51 toothfish. This was the actual geographical location where the fish was caught, and immediately gave customers a sense it came from a cold yet a pristine environment like Antarctica. 70% of the R&D feedback favoured producing 2 matching 3 kilo skin-on vacuum sealed fillets on the blackboard to show up the white flesh, packed in a carton with the MSC logo prominently displayed to ensure what they were purchasing was the real deal and not a lemon. Our product was designed by chefs, so it had the best possible chance of success in the marketplace. We went further and incorporated a QR code. I know there's been lots of talk about that today, which chefs could scan and reveal on Google Earth Maps where that fish was caught. After we launched Glacier 51 at the Noosa Food and Wine Show in 2013, we kicked off our end-user campaign, which involved visiting a further 1,200 restaurants around the country with a product brochure, a cutting guide, 150 gram sample for cooking. Only about 300 restaurants actually menued toothfish after those initial visitations, but those 300 spread the word like wildfire on social media. Chefs are quite tech savvy, and they're all using Facebook, Twitter and Instagram these days to communicate with other chefs and consumers. Every week we would receive new product photos and praise from restaurants and chefs all over the world, proudly showing off their new creations. Glacier 51 was actually going viral. Positioning our branded product in the retail market went straight to top of class, and so did the price. The Kiss of Death fish went from $30 a kilo to $120 a kilo within 6 months. Retailers loved our story, and so did their customers. Branded menus were popping up all over the country, and our story was promoted on a level way beyond expectation. That fish called Plunder is now found on Qantas international first-class menus for flights departing Sydney and Melbourne. Now we have a team of champion chefs advocating for what we do, providing quality Australian sustainable seafood to the world. Thanks for listening to our story.